So, for my first year comp class, I feel that the practical choices that I would make for them would be to, first of all, work with a process pedagogical system because that, for me, is the best way to try and give the students a structure to work towards. You see, I feel that using primarily a cultural or feminist pedagogical approach might not work well in the long run for the students' progress, as these kinds of pedagogies work towards the product, I feel, a lot more than the process of writing. Process pedagogy really, for me, really focuses in on the actual production of a written text, if maybe written, maybe not written. Now, that being said, it is a little bit of an issue for me that process theory does not, and in many ways cannot, help the student in answering the so what question. Like, what is the point of writing? What did you write this essay for? And for that, I think that I would also make a practical choice of integrating expressionist, cultural, feminist, and critical pedagogies into the classroom as well. The reason for this is that not all pedagogies work in the same realm of production, and I honestly think that these other pedagogies will enable the students to think more critically. Progressive theory would allow them to work in a system that can be applied to other fields, which is what I believe is the goal of the first year comp class, to essentially expand on the students' abilities. And I say expand because the student already has a working model of writing. We can't think of the students as being a blank slate to the modes of writing. We in our course we talked a lot about how the students have been sort of worked or have been taught mainly the 5 paragraph essay. Well, okay, then let's work beyond the 5 paragraph essay. Let's not say this is wrong. Personally, I don't think it's wrong to have the students be taught up to a certain level the 5 paragraph essay. However, when it comes to college writing, it's the point of the instructor to elevate the students' college level writing skills. Now, to do this, I think that the choices that I would make would be to take the students' own skills and elevate them by first taking a third of the class, the first third, and working towards making the students much more eloquent writers. By this, I mean to work on the little finite details of writing, giving them a better way to express their ideas through process theory. In this way, I think that the students will really benefit in the long run and will allow for them to actually focus in on areas that they might not be familiar with in terms of good writing. Good, of course, is subjective, and I think that the main goal is to work towards betterment of the students' skills. Now, once I've gone ahead and completed this, first third of the semester, I think that the students would really benefit better or beyond through then implementing expressionist and critical theory alongside feminist and social and community pedagogies. To do this, the first assignment I think would be beneficial for the students is to have them write an essay that is of expressionist pedagogy. Now, since I will have already been mainly working with the students on their writing skills, I do not intend to give them a particular text to analyze. I want them to actually use the skills that I've already laid out for them and then have them move forward by writing an essay in an expressive way, but in a more cohesive, planned out way. They will be allowed to definitely express themselves, but I want the process for them to be the goal of the assignment up until actually writing it. Once that assignment is complete, we'll move on. I will allow them subsequently to resubmit their essays for at most a 1/3 grade increase. The reason for this is to allow them to see how the editing process works towards bettering their writing. You see, I know that most students will not edit their work before submitting it. They might look it over, but they won't really look at the finite details that I might be looking for. Therefore, I think by allowing the students to resubmit for at least a partial credit or grade increase, they will benefit by realizing how important the editing process is, as well as the peer review, seeing as I will have already reviewed their essay and graded them on it, and therefore give them an opportunity to then make their work better. Beyond this assignments, I plan on actually making the classroom a bit more multimodal. For this, I will make one of their second assignments be an argument that will be an image. What I intend to do through this is to allow the students to look at the ways that that arguments can be created outside of the page. Process theory is still gonna be put in place. They will still have to do a bit of thinking before starting the work, but the students' central points will have to be displayed in the image. So to elaborate on this assignment, it would be tell me a story or make an argument with an image, maybe two, maybe three, but I'm not really, don't think that would benefit the students keying in on how composition works outside of the written text or essay. Beyond this, I plan to also make one of their key assignments be a short skit, if not a bit from one of the readings, which I plan to integrate play. And they are to choose a section, work in teams, and then make their actions come alive through their decision of blocking, through their decisions of tone and voice of the actions that they are portraying. This is how I think that multimodality will be implemented in my classroom. I really think it is integral to composition to understand that there are many ways to compose an essay. Personally, I have found, at least through this course, no, it's Professor Arroyo, that multimodality can be beneficial to the students so long as they are pushed just far enough to open up their creative endeavors. Key example is being this essay here, this reflection. I never thought of actually making a video kind of assignment before. I've never tried it yet. This course, after having actually made video for my presentation, I was forced to learn new ways of communicating my ideas. And through that, I went ahead and actually first just made the video with phone's own camera and microphone. Subsequently, for my next assignment, I learned to actually work better with the iMovie application, and then learned how to add on images, add on just an audio file so that the audio would be better. Because I learned from my mistakes. I learned that the audio was not going to be sufficient from the camera, and therefore kind of got myself a recording device, which I then learned to use and primarily focused in on using for my second assignment. This assignment now, it's essentially a culmination of both the video and the audio, where I've actually I'm mixing in the audio and the visual. So this multimodal aspect is what I want my students to gain from my course. I want them to be able to elevate their skills, but also push them just far enough to see there are other ways that composition can be used effectively, but they should not be pressured to make a perfect representation, because there's always the next step in one's own evolution of writing. Now, beyond having the students learn to compose better, I want them to learn critical thinking skills. And to do this, I think a very practical way would be for them to learn about how arguments are constructed, but also one key aspect of my own experience is understanding reading closely, but also understanding how reading too closely can be detrimental to one's argument. For this, I want them to look at newspapers or even at tabloids, and try to pinpoint how these ideas that they are presenting might be trying to read too closely and come out with theories that are nonsensical or even wrong, and therefore allow the students to see how their own argument can be better constructed. I don't think that my own ideals should reflect my teaching style. I will go ahead and teach from what I know, but I will not work against the students' own ideals. We in class we talked about how some teachers try to profess their own ideologies onto the students, but honestly, having had an experience where a professor actually noted how well someone had written their essay that was entirely against every single thing that the professor had spoken of in the course was kind of eye-opening, because the professor actually gave the individual compliments for being able to structure their arguments well enough to rebuttal the professor's own ideas. He didn't reprimand the students saying this is wrong, therefore you fail. No, he said this is great writing. And that is what I think our goal as professors should be. Now, my influences for this way of thinking come from Ferguson, as well as from Chris Anson and Jesse L. Moore. The reasons for this is that Ferguson, for one, very much pushes against just a critical way of writing, and I very much agree with him in the regards that it's not a way to teach students how to write or how to better the students' writing skills. Furthermore, in regards to Jesse Elmore and Anson, they focus in on making sure that the composition course is a transferable course, not only for a student that is just starting college at a university level, but also at the community college level. How well can we be teachers if we do not strive to make sure that our students can go ahead and implement these skill sets in other disciplines?